Alright, so after my first video, I had a good friend ask me to give my review on a certain supplement, whether it's actually a useful supplement, has beneficial, and it's effective and whatnot. So this video is just going to be talking about that one supplement. It's a pre-workout. It's called Mr. Hyde, and I never heard about it, and so I looked it up, and then I'm just going to review that and break it down ingredient by ingredient to see if the ingredients actually do something and they're actually effective in the body in muscle gains and focus, or it makes a beneficial pre-workout. Now I'm going to be I pulled up a bunch of clinical studies looking at every single ingredient on my surface, so that's what I'll be going by. So I'll be pointing, looking over here, whatnot, through the whole thing. But essentially, okay, so this supplement, this supplement's a pre-workout. It's called a Mr. Hyde. And first we'll just discuss what we want in a pre-workout. Well, the point of taking a pre-workout is one, to pump you up to make your workout more intense and more effective. We've already went over how creatine is one of the most effective products out there. It's one of the most popular, one of the most effective because it works. So whatever you take should have creatine in it because creatine just works. There's no way around it. It makes your workouts more effective, increases your lean body mass, increases max strength, max power. It's much more effective. I mean, you'll get gains obviously if you don't take creatine just by working out, but your gains will be much more significant if you take creatine. So we'll be reviewing this product to see if it's beneficial, because there's a lot of bullshit supplements out there that don't really do anything. Because supplement companies, it's a business essentially. They're trying to sell stuff. So we'll just break down the supplement. Now, most supplements, the thing about supplements is they're not regulated, so companies can say whatever the hell they want. They have to list the ingredients on the label, but when it comes to words and science and whatever, they can put whatever the hell they want on the text. They can say research shows or studies show it increases your bench press by 600 pounds in a month. And they can show fancy graphs, they can show bar graphs, all that stuff. They're allowed to do that. They can say anything as long as they don't say it cures a pathological disease, like cures diabetes, helps blood pressure, lowers your risk of heart disease. Well, actually, they can say lowers your risk. They can't say cures heart disease. So they pretty much can say whatever they want on labels. So we're just looking at the label of Mr. Hyde, whatever. So the label says it's formulated to be one of the most extreme and effective pre-workouts on the market, loaded with leucine, propriety stimulant blends, and novel pump agent agmatine sulfate. It will shadow weight training plateaus. And then it says it's a potent combination of high-power thermogenic compounds. Again, companies love to sound all scientific and use physiological terms like thermogenic, because most population has no idea what the hell thermogenic means. So, but if the label's saying it, I mean, they must know what they're talking about, right? Efficient dose of creatine hydrochloride, energy blend, blah, 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 max receptor sensitivity, etc. Talking about receptors now, okay? So, now most supplements, when you look at the label, they use something called the propriety blend, which means it's the supplement's secret blend of ingredients, where they just say like there's 5,000 milligrams of this propriety blend, and they list what's in the blend. They say caffeine, creatine, beta-alanine, leucine, isoleucine, whatever, but they don't tell you the dose of each ingredient. And if you remember from the first video and just think of how the body works, it's not good enough just to have an ingredient. The ingredient might be effective, but you need it in the proper dose. It's just like if, say you go out and try to buy something, you're trying to buy a car, or it costs money, okay? So if someone tells you it costs money, okay, you know it costs money, but that doesn't mean anything. You want to know how much money is to be effective to buy this car. There is a difference between $100 and $1,000. Vice versa, in the body, there's a difference between 1 gram of creatine and 5 grams of creatine. 1 gram might not be enough to cause any physiological gains, or any processes in the body. So you need the proper dosage. The dose is very important. And unfortunately, supplement companies take advantage of that and they list the ingredient, but it's cheaper to just list the ingredient and not put enough dose in it and to cheat you out of the actual ingredient you need, and because it's expensive for supplement companies. Even though it only costs like 20 cents more to add like the proper dose or something, you have to think of it as a business that if they're selling thousands of these pre-workouts, that's 20 cents times 1,000, whatever. It costs a lot more money. So they cheat you out of the ingredients. So let's just break it down one by one. Now the good thing about this supplement is it actually lists what's in it. It says strength matrix 5,000 milligrams. You're probably thinking, what the hell is a strength matrix? Now, some supplements might just say strength matrix and not list what the hell is in the matrix, and they're allowed to do that. But this one at least lists as like beta-alanine, 2.5 grams, creatine hydrochloride, 1 gram, leucine, agmatine sulfate, etc. They actually list the ingredients, so that's good. But let's break it down. Beta-alanine, 2.5 grams. Okay, so beta-alanine, now I don't have a fancy scientific review in a book on beta-alanine because one hasn't been published. So I just looked through PubMed, I looked everything, I did my own research on it and looked through millions of, well not millions, maybe like 10 and 20 studies. And I formed my opinion on beta-alanine based on the data that's out there. Now, beta-alanine, well, in that creatine book, that was in the last video, beta-alanine does work. Many studies have shown when it's mixed with creatine, it increases the efficiency of creatine. They did studies where they take a group, a non-supplement group, just a normal group working out, of course, and they take a group supplement with creatine, 5 grams a day, and they take a group supplement with creatine in beta-alanine, and found out the beta-alanine group has more significant results than, obviously, the non-supplementing group in the creatine group. So beta-alanine mixed with creatine increases the efficiency of creatine. So pretty much, beta-alanine by itself, though, pretty much every study I've read has had very mixed results about beta-alanine by itself. Doesn't seem too effective. I mean, there's one study that shows this one. Beta-alanine improves jumping power and strength and whatnot in severe intensity performance in professional skiers. And then, of course, like it takes these 9 skiers, takes them through a program, supplements with beta-alanine for 10 weeks, and it increased counter movement jumps, 90 seconds VO2, box jump, and increased all these measurements. But if you look at the dosage, it was 4.8 grams a day, and this only has 2.5 grams. And anyways, you guys aren't skiers, so you really don't care about increasing box jump, probably. And anyway, it's not enough dosage. It's 2.5 versus 4.8. You need a proper dosage to have an effect. And this is only one study. But anyways, not the proper dosage, so next. This one. Influencer training stats on a high intensity intermittent performance in response to beta-alanine supplementation. Bunch of fancy words. This study essentially shows that when you supplement with beta-alanine versus a non-supplement group, beta-alanine does increase the efficiency of your workouts. But again, we'll look at the dosage. It's 6.8 grams a day. Again, not enough dosage, so 2.5 grams is not enough. We'll go to the next one. This one is this is a meta-analysis study, and what that means is it's essentially one paper. Paper by itself is not a study. It's a paper that looks at like the past, looks at like 50, looks at all the past research on beta-alanine and compares it what it looks like, if it's effective and whatnot. Now, essentially, this explains a little bit how beta-alanine works in the body, and I'll spend like 30 seconds talking about that. So, your body makes beta-alanine. It's just like creatine. Your body makes it. And what beta-alanine does is it's a product. It synthesizes something called carnosine. You might see carnosine also in some products. Carnosine is a pH buffer, which means it buffers the pH. It keeps your body from becoming too acidic. What that means is when you start working out, or let's say when you're sprinting. When you're sprinting or you're running or whatever, and you get that burning sensation in your muscles, that's, well, I'm not going to say that's from lactic acid. It's not technically just from it. But lactic acid increases the acidity in your body, and you make lactic acid when the exercise is very intense. And when your body is too acidic, it essentially stops exercising. You can't exercise anymore. That's that burning sensation. And carnosine is a pH buffer, so it buffers the pH, and thus you can exercise for a longer amount of time before your body becomes too acidic. Now, in theory, taking carnosine would increase exercise efficiency, and you can exercise for a longer amount of time. If you can exercise for a longer amount of time and a high-intensity exercise, you can get greater gains. Remember, now, in theory. Now, when it comes to science and the body, you can say things in theory would work, but that doesn't mean anything, because in theory is not good enough. If it doesn't stand up in the lab, first it has to work in the lab when they take muscle biopsies and actually look at the muscle and see if the muscle fibers are growing bigger and they're responding to a greater extent. And then it has to hold up into the gym and see if it actually promotes gains. So in theory is not good enough, but in theory it works. So first it looks at all these studies, and it shows that beta-alanine supplementation does significantly increase carnosine levels. Good, but that's not the question. The question is not, does it increase carnosine levels? The question is, does these increased currency levels actually lead to performance gains? And by looking at reviewing all these studies, it's very, very mixed results. I'm not going to say it doesn't improve it, because I can't say that, but it's very mixed. Many studies show that it doesn't do anything. Some studies show there is benefits. The reason why some studies show things and some don't is because when you start, when you get into like the scientific world and with papers, you'll see that for some strange reason, researchers don't do studies of the exact same environment. Like, they don't test the same exact thing. They change things up. They do different exercises. They have different dosages during every study for some reason. They don't keep it consistent. So that's why some studies there's benefits and some there's not. But regardless if there's benefits or not, in all these studies I look at, the dosage is about 4 grams a day to 6 grams a day. At 2.5 grams a day, I'm pretty confident to say that it's not going to be beneficial. So my opinion on beta-alanine by itself, with beta-alanine with creatine is beneficial, but we'll get to the creatine in a second. Beta-alanine by itself does not work, so forget the beta-alanine. Now let's look at the creatine. Creatine hydrochloride, 1,000 milligrams, 1 gram. Now, all the studies on creatine have used creatine monohydrate. Creatine monohydrate is the form that's absorbed. That's what they've been doing all the research on creatine monohydrate. Creatine hydrochloride is a new form, not a new form, but it's creatine attached to a hydrochloride with the theory that it's absorbed faster. Is it? I don't know, because there's no peer-reviewed studies on it. They never looked at creatine hydrochloride versus monohydrate. So, but regardless if creatine hydrochloride is absorbed faster than monohydrate, can't say that because there's no studies. There's only 1,000 milligrams or 1 gram. Remember, you need 5 grams a day, at least 5. Okay, we'll give you a little leeway and say 4 to 5 grams a day. 1 gram is not enough. So creatine is useless. It does have creatine, which is good, but it's not an efficient dose. Leucine. Leucine is extremely effective with creatine monohydrate. With creatine, leucine is one of the most effective supplements out there that you should be taking. Everyone should be supplementing with leucine. Now, leucine. One of my professors, Dr. Lane Norton, if you guys know him, he did his dissertation on leucine to see how leucine affects muscle protein synthesis, or how effective it is at growing muscles. And everyone knows you take protein, whatever protein increases the strength of your muscles, it drives muscle synthesis. Well, proteins are made of amino acids. Amino acids are like Lego blocks, kind of. Leucine is an amino acid. The body can't make leucine. It's a branched amino acid. It's essential. Unfortunately, what all the studies show that you look at is you need 3 to 3.5 grams of leucine to have any benefit, to actually drive muscle synthesis. Of course, protein drives muscle synthesis, obviously, because we eat protein, but protein is made of amino acids, which is leucine. So you can take either protein or you can take leucine. If you take leucine, you need 3.5 grams. If you take protein, you need like 30 or 40 grams of protein. The point of taking leucine is for convenience. That's what supplements are for convenience. You just take a little shake with leucine. Unfortunately, 500 milligrams is not enough. Skip that. Agmatine sulfate. Now, agmatine sulfate it's a nitric oxide stimulator. It does do this, it's proven. It stimulates the synthesis of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a vasodilator, which means it makes your arteries wider. And if your arteries are wider, it's more vascular, you have more veins and whatnot. But it makes your arteries wider, increases blood flow to the muscle, increases oxygen, with the theory, again, that this will increase exercise tolerance. Now, I'm not saying nitric oxide doesn't work, because that would be silly saying that. Nitric oxide does work. That's what they give, if anyone has any history with heart disease in the family, when someone's having a heart attack or heart pain or angina, which is a clenching feeling in the heart, they give them nitroglycerin. Nitroglycerin is nitric oxide, and it widens the arteries, it vasodilates, increases blood flow to the heart, and thus eases symptoms, or eases that angina. So nitric oxide does indeed work. But again, that's for a pathological situation. We don't know if it works for exercise. So far, no studies haven't shown that. In theory, nitric oxide would work because you would increase blood flow to the muscle. But again, in theory, it doesn't mean anything if it doesn't work in a lab. I don't think I'm sure there's been studies on nitric oxide, but I don't know if it works. Yeah, sure, it'll make you more vascular because it is a vasodilator. So yeah, you would take the submin and you would be more vascular, you would have more veins and whatnot because it is a vasodilator. So that part does work. But does this vasodilation actually do something? Does it actually increase the efficiency of your workout? So strength matrix, my review, useless. Doesn't have anything in appreciable doses that you need. Caffeine matrix, 419 milligrams of caffeine. That's a lot of caffeine. 419 milligrams is equivalent to 4 to 5 cups of coffee. So caffeine anhydrase is the caffeine that's in coffee. So that is really that's why all the reviews of the supplements say they get like a tingling sensation, they're more focused, they feel more in the zone. Well, that's because there's 5 cups of coffee in this. Anyone drinks 5 cups of coffee, you're going to feel in the zone. You're going to have a tingling sensation. Now, their matrix is caffeine anhydrase, caffeine citrate, dicaffeine maltate. I don't know what the hell dicaffeine maltate is. It's probably a cheaper form of caffeine. Caffeine citrate is caffeine bound to a citrate. Citrate is more acidic, which means it increases the efficiency of the caffeine, so it's much more, it's absorbed much faster. Now, that's where it's all coming from. The stimulant is from the caffeine. It's 419 milligrams of caffeine. That's why the warning says don't take more than 1 scoop, and don't take like before you go to bed, etc. Because again, it's a lot of caffeine. That's really what's making this pre-workout. That's what makes people think it's working, because of all the caffeine that's in it. And I'll really quickly go fast over the intensity matrix. The intensity matrix lists a bunch of things that don't really have any clinical studies on it or anything. So I'd actually resort to Google to look at these things to see what they do. Now, the first one, picamylin. Picamylin is it's claimed to be an anti-aging medication. It crosses the blood-brain barrier, blah, 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 does all these things. Claims to be an anti-aging. Now, it is prescribed in Russia. It's a medical prescription in Russia. What it does is it says it treats violations of cerebral blood flow, that means blood flow to the brain, for ischemic strokes. Depression, psychosis, treats alcohol intoxication, migraines, trauma, neuroinfections. Realize it doesn't say anything about exercise. So pick alanine, I'm going to say is bogus. It doesn't do anything. Because I'm going to say it doesn't do anything. There's no clinical studies on it. This is the first time I ever heard of picamylin, whatever it is. N-methyl L-tyramine hydrochloride. I don't know what the hell that is. My search brought up like it's going into organic chemistry. It says like it's pretty much, it says like all these things like it's organic chemistry compound, and I don't know. It doesn't, from my review, it doesn't do anything in the body. So I'll say that's also useless. Hortidine. I remember I looked up Hortidine. Hortidine. I don't remember what it did, but I can assure you it probably doesn't do anything with strength. I forgot what I deleted the thing, so I forgot what it did. But I'm sure it doesn't do anything. Yohimbe bark extract. Now, yohimbe is a fat loss. It's used for fat loss, proposed, in theory, because what it does is it binds to a receptor, so it increases your fat burning capabilities. But it's 2 milligrams, and the recommended dosage, if it does do anything for fat loss, is like 16 milligrams to 50 milligrams a day. But yohimbe, the funny thing about yohimbe, more often than not, it's used to treat erectile dysfunction. And like, if you search anything on yohimbe, it's used for erectile dysfunction and sexual dysfunction. So again, why would you want a sexual dysfunction treatment in a pre-workout? I mean, unless you're taking a pre-workout to get in the zone, get pumped to increase the efficiency of your workouts, to simulate more muscle synthesis and make your workout more beneficial, not to cure erectile dysfunction. If you have erectile dysfunction, you should probably see a doctor or something, not be taking something in a pre-workout. And now the last one, can't even pronounce, it's wolflaw vimatora root extract. I'm not even going to review that one because you can search that for yourself, but essentially I don't know what the hell that is. So my review on this is it has a bunch of bogus ingredients, and it has some ingredients that work, but they're not in appreciable amounts to actually do anything. Now the funny thing about this, the funny thing that I thought was funny is reading the directions. The directions say, obviously don't consume 4 hours prior to bedtime because it's 5 cups of coffee. But the funny thing is, it's no. Yeah, the funny thing is, under the warning, it lists all these things like consult physician, blah blah blah. All supplement companies have to say that. But the funny thing is, that here it says, do not take if you are more than 15 pounds overweight. Why would a supplement ever have to say that? If you're 15 pounds overweight, you should be encouraged to exercise. Exercise is good. A supplement recommending you not to take something if you're overweight is like, that just screams out there like bogus bullshit. And there's no reason why you can't take it if you're overweight, because it has caffeine. The warning is really funny though. It says Mr. Hyde is for advanced exercise and supplement users only. Do not exceed 1 scoop prior to exercise under any circumstances. That's funny because, like, what is an advanced supplement user? Just someone who takes supplements a lot, or? So my review of this is it's full of a bunch of bogus ingredients. I wouldn't recommend this. Again, take your opinion on it and do whatever you want. Try it out, whatever. But my opinion is it's a waste of money. There's much more effective things out there. The most effective thing you can take is just simple creatine. This is actually just creatine. So just say creatine. So that is the end of this video.